How did he manage to get in here?
Could ask you the same thing about the White House occupancy, Joe.
The voice channels are all open. I could, in theory, enter any of them.
In theory, could you also leave this call?
How did you get invited to our server in the first place?
It doesn't matter, and no one said your name, Ben. Donald is only mad we're not rating his favorite trash heroes. You simply misheard, even though you were not in the call when he said Ben's. Strange.
I understand. What are you guys doing?
Not much, to be frank.
We're rating HoN heroes.
Shut the fuck up, Joe. Don't tell him.
Yeah, get a grip, Joe, for Christ's sake.
What? Why?
Think for once, Joe, please. How long would it take to be done with this shit if he were allowed to talk and give his opinion?
Good God, you're right. It would take longer than killing ancients with level 1 Soul Reaper aura.
Actually, Joe, Soul Reaper needs to be level 3 or higher in order for Withering Presence to have an effect on neutral creeps. Usually, if you go Ancient killing strategy, you would, by the time you can even kill Ancients, have level 2 aura.
See what I mean, Joe?
I mean, hypothetically, you could have level 1 of Withering Presence at level 3,
Muted.
thus making your argument palpable, but it just doesn't make any sense to have level 1 of the aura if your main early game farming strategy is Ancients anyway.
There's absolutely no way I'm dealing with this shit for the rest of the list.
You making a list? Of what?
Of how many times you can ruin a Discord call with your sheer presence.
Screw it, since you're here, you might as well join in. Blacksmith is up next, boys.
Considering his RNG-based skill set, he sure can be fun to play, but it also means the skill ceiling is lower than the average IQ of Donald's former administration.
I must concur with Joe on this one. The only item that actually scales with the hero is staff. Otherwise, the hero is a walking slot machine in terms of his usefulness. Fun to play nonetheless, even though it can't be seriously considered a competitive hero compared to other heroes.
I don't think Blacksmith offer much in games other than comedic value. You either are super lucky and got the hand of Midas in terms of multicasts, or you are unlucky, in which your enjoyment of playing the game deteriorates harder than the value of NFTs.
Ben, if you like Blacksmith so much, it can only mean you are luckier getting multicast with him than you were with your height growth.
Who are you to make hero references as insults, Donald? You have a higher daily calorie intake than Balfagor, and your gas implodes harder than Balfagor's hell on Newerth Ultimate.
Enjoyment is what gaming is all about. But winning is also fun. And if you are not getting multicasts, you are essentially playing half a hero, or Rampage to his full potential.
Or good old Donnie on literally any hero.
I'd say a strong C for Blacksmith overall when the fun factor is included.
Can't say I disagree too much. He's pretty bland as a hero. Fun once a while, but not reliable.
Pretty much how I would summarize your public speeches, Joe.
I concur with your assessment, gentlemen.
So what about Nighthound, boys? I agree.
Let me just say I have never heard Ben argue that effectively before. Nice job keeping it under 7 A4 pages, Ben.
In your instance, 7 A4 pages could also mean your breakfast restaurant's check or your crime registry.
It's very appropriate that you mention the word crime, Ben, because Monkey King is up next. I can't believe the devs gave this hero free mana Regan on top of the existing ult effects way back when. It's almost as if they tried to make this game worse than Heroes of the Storm.
Can someone explain why the ult effect visually grant him levitation? As if he's Aladdin or some shit. He's a monkey. The trees are supposed to be his element, not the ground like some magician. And don't get me started on the actual effects of the ulti.
Monkey King is one of the more annoying heroes to play against. He's supposed to have high damage output with his mana-costly spells, sure, but the stupid developers decided to also give him mana Regan despite being the only bottleneck that made him reasonable to deal with and hold him back in farm speed and kill potential. Giving Monkey King free mana Regan on ulti is like giving Dampier true damage on all spells and superior fear on Q because Shrunken otherwise could counter it. Heroes are supposed to have counters and weaknesses as well, but the devs increasingly plugged the holes on heroes that had specific weaknesses for some reason.
Surprisingly cohesive and complex argument from you, Joe.
He's an A, but I personally hate him because if you give him just the slightest space, he will bounce around the map with perma-haste and infinite mana, no matter how much you shut him down early.
Dude is like Silhouette, only Monkey King's swap is faster because he can just run to the place where the illusion is, whereas Silhouette has half a second cast time. Fuck that hero and any trash player who plays him.
Pretty decent opinions, boys.
I'll place him in B. This list is already scuffed beyond redemption, even if God himself were to try and cleanse it.
Does my eyes deceive me, or is that Emerald Warden up next?
You're damn right, it's Emerald Warden up next, McDon. Finally, a hero that is fun to play with no infuriating broken-ass mechanics.
Statistically speaking, this hero is straight garbage. Has no redeeming teamfight spells, no late game scaling, and has below average win percentage. This hero has nothing going for it.
Same goes for Joe. Try to walk up a set of stairs, but you don't see him stopping from trying.
I don't see how Joe stumbling on every set of stairs he ever tried to walk on is relevant here. Warden is a useless hero that can't farm or team fight properly and doesn't scale into the late game.
Takes like this is why we aren't inviting you to our calls, Ben. Warden is an absolute Sigma hero with some good old-fashioned Patriot spells.
Not sure I follow, Donald.
Her first spell is basically a sniper rifle with silencer that scales
Silences, Donald. It silences the targeted enemy hero.
Don't interrupt me, I'm getting passionate. A single target cue that silences heat-seeking wolves, forest mines, and a drone bird. Now that's a skill set.
As much as the hero turns you on by the resemblance of military weapons, the hero is still just a collection of random spells that don't fit together in any way. Come to think of it, it kind of reminds me of your gameplay.
Looks like we're split on this one. She's fun to play, and her traps act similar to engineer mines in laning. Since we put engineer in A tier, Warden at least has to go B tier.
No way. Engineer actually has a useful teamfight ultimate and a semi-reliable AoE stun that gives him A tier. Since Warden lack all of those features, she should be placed in C.
Shut the fuck up, Ben. You can't convince anyone in here of that because every time you talk, it sounds like you're in a verbal version of a speed typing contest.
Playing Warden is always straight fire, but Ben does make a great point. Being fully objective, she isn't as strong as, say, NG and probably belongs in C.
Place her in C, Barack.
Bullshit. Even Joe manages to stay awake when he plays Warden. That's how fun she is.
No cap, that's true, but that doesn't mean it's a good hero. Still deserving a C. With her nonsensical abilities, she's nothing more than a Walmart version of Alonia.
Care to elaborate on that last bit, Joe?
No.
Kind of hoping you wouldn't, not gonna lie. She goes into B, and it's time for Solstice.
Who's first up to intoxicate my ears with the worst Souls take I've ever heard? You volunteer, Joe?
Shut the fuck up, Donald. My opinion as a jungler holds more weight than yours.
Don't kid yourself, Joe. The only reason you're a jungler is because you can just about last hit neutral creeps.
Mad 'cause bad. Jungle is more about rotations and farming patterns, you balloon-shaped clown. I could play any lane just as easily.
You can't even win mid against a war beast as Slither, bro. Are you off your meds?
I have won plenty of lanes the few times I actually play on one, but your noob ass insists on feeding short every game, so I'm forced to carry from jungle every match.
I have literally never seen you have impact in games where you play in a lane, man. Honestly, same goes for jungle in most games as well.
It's because you have the attention span of a 13-year-old TikToker that rage quits every game after rage buying back twice within 4 minutes of every game.
Gentlemen, maybe we should go back to discuss Solstice.
Hold up, Ben. Let him cook.
This is unproductive.
Let him cook.
Too bad you didn't play the game last night where you were 0-4 on Taro at 5 minutes AFKing in the woods until we won. Because if you would have looked at the map once a blue moon, you would see how my war beast absolutely slapped the 4-0 Grinex that demolished you.
Got to give it to Joe here. He kind of hard carried us that game.
For real, Obama, you're capping hard right now.
Bro, you had less items 10 minutes into the game than you had starting the game. Sit down and eat this fat L, Donald.
This is why I'm running for president in the 2024 election, so I can fix our team comp and get rid of Bot Joe.
Donald, your carry is just like the sniper in Fortnite who hides the whole game and comes out at the end when the game is already over and had no impact but takes all the credit.
Okay, boys, you're getting a little too gassed up. I think we need to chill out a bit and have something else to get mad about. Ben, start talking. Ben?